Hey y'all, this is your girl Tysheen. How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? I hope you're doing great. Are you? Are you doing okay? Everything's okay? I hope so. I hope so. But anyway, yes. 5 ways British and American families are very different. Well, I already know a few things, the difference between us. So yeah, but I'm quite sure there are gonna be some things I didn't know or I didn't notice. So let's get straight to it.
Oh, back up the truck, right? America has a bigger population. It has more households in general, so this makes sense. Hello, I'm Lawrence and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to family. You know, there's an old saying in the English language, families, you can't live with them, and there are studies to back me up on that. But as I discussed recently with patrons on my secret stream, there are various nuanced differences between how family life plays out in Britain and America. And as I said to my patrons last Friday, I've experienced the best and the worst of both sides of the coin. And so today, at the risk of alienating everyone in my families, I'm going to lay out some of my observations. Here are 5 ways that British and American families are very different. I'm not sure if it's because I'd already seen the extra large size of America's roads and cars and land and grocery stores and everything, but my initial impression was that American family sizes were bigger than those of Britain. And, you know, if you don't believe me, watch the 1990 documentary Home Alone. It just felt like my wife's relatives were coming from all angles, you know, not in attack formation, it's not the 18th century, but their great numbers instilled in me this kind of belief that American households were on average made up of more people than your British equivalents. But was there any truth to this matter? It's not that British families don't have multiple children. I myself have 2 siblings. Well, it turns out there is no ignoring the facts. Over the last 10 years, the average number of person per UK household was between 2.3 and 2.4. In that same time period, the average number of people in an American household has roughly floated between 2.5 and 2.6 people. So that means that on average, American households have about 1/5 of a person more than British households, which is about the size of a leg. What's going on, America? Well, one thing that I've noticed that might accommodate this slight increase in family size is the relatively large size of American houses, which, as I pointed out in a video 2 years ago, are just bigger, which, you know, might account for these. My family might not be typical, but when I was growing up in Britain, we had parties at our house for 2 occasions, and those 2 occasions were Christmas and birthdays. For Christmas, it would just be a small gathering of humans that could fit inside our English living room. And for birthdays, and we're particularly talking about childhood birthdays, it would usually be about 6 kids, one of whom was inevitably thrown out for disruptive behaviour, forcing the other 5 to go on without me. And they'd all play Pass the Parcel, which is a game that I don't hear too many Americans talking about, come to think of it. And that was about it for me.
I don't know what that is. I really don't. Never heard of it.
But in America, families will house huge parties for all manner of occasions. So 25 people will show up to Christmas meals, Thanksgiving meals, 4th of July stuff, birthdays.
Pretty much everything.
Graduation open house parties. I did 3 of those in my first year, and I still don't know who those people are. And the one that...
Because everybody invite everybody. When you throw a party, the people who you invite to the party, they invite their friends, and their friends invite their friends, and then your house is full of people, full of strangers. Yeah.
What really stands out for me personally is the welcome party that I was given. When I came to Indiana in 2007, I was just visiting, you know, and I thought I'll meet the mum and the dad for the second time, I'll meet the brother and sister, maybe pet a dog or 2. No, I got the whole works, as they say. There were aunts and uncles and granddads and grandmothers and cousins and cousins of cousins. And I know what you're thinking, ooh, Lawrence, you're an introvert, that must have been hell. But here's the thing, one of the most challenging things about being an introvert is initiating the conversation. And because I couldn't get a word in edgeways, I didn't have to go through that, so everyone's a winner. A moment ago, I touched upon graduation open house parties. What I didn't mention is that we do have graduation parties in the UK. It's just that the word graduation usually refers only to the commencement of university/college. Whereas in America, it seems like families will hold a graduation party for various levels of the educational pyramid.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. parties for everything. Everything. Oh, you just got a job? We're gonna throw a party. You got a new dog? Okay, we're gonna throw a party. Like, yeah.
So I've celebrated everything from a distant cousin's graduation from elementary school all the way through to university. And it's all good. You know, you normally give them a card with some money in it, even though you needed that yourself. And presumably they put it toward their first car, you know, not the elementary kids. Or the high school kids come to that. I don't know what they spend it on. All this to say that American families place a great deal of emphasis on the educational excellence of their kids. Now, I'm not saying this doesn't happen in Britain. Of course it does. I just think the idea of pushing their kids to excel academically is, generally speaking, more prominent in the United States. This doesn't just apply to grades, it's things like extracurricular activities. It seems like it's a really big thing here for kids to be on a sports team or to be in band or to do, what was it called? Yes, colour guard. That's where you throw the sticks and the flags in the air and you catch them in ways that I can't even comprehend. And American families are super supportive of this. You know, many of them will go and watch their kids perform, and I've even been to a few myself. And what can you say at the end of such an event? Oh, your flag throwing skills were really impressive, presumably. I mean, I don't know the rules. The point is, whether we're talking about football or marching band or honour society, it seems to me that a kid's extracurricular activities play a larger role in the dynamics of an American family as opposed to a British one. I sort of hate this bit because I don't have any data to back it up. It's just all feeling. So instead, let's talk about something for which I do have some numbers.
Imagine this scenario. You buy a little known cryptocurrency at $2.82 from a major
Okay.
One of my patrons, Jeff, asked me about multi-generational households. What's a multi-generational household, Lawrence? Well, typically speaking, it's a household in which 3 or more generations of family members live together. So it might be some grandparents, parents, and...
Yes. Yep. He's right.
Kids. So an example of this would be Charlie Bucket's house in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He lives with his mum and 4 grandparents who frankly aren't pulling their weight. But in each country, what percentage of households have this kind of multi-generational makeup? Well, in Britain, the Office for National Statistics suggests that 419,000 households are considered multi-generational, and as a percent...
Yeah, but you have to understand, it's, you know, like, I was raised by my grandmother and my great-grandmother, my uncle and my aunt. So we all live in this one big house. Oh yeah, my grandfather. We all live in one big house. I'm used to that, you know, living with a big family. My family is big, pretty much, you know. And everybody live with each other. There's nothing wrong with that, you know what I'm saying? You know, the grandparents, they pass on, and then the next generation would take over the house, and then they pass on, you know, that's what we do. But a lot of family does that.
Percentage of all the households in Britain, those account for about 1.5%. In America, it's about 4 million households, but whoa, back up the truck, right? America has a bigger population, it has more households in general, so this makes sense.
Yeah,
but
makes
even
sense.
when you do account for that differential, 4 million households is nonetheless 3.2% of all American households. So the answer to your question, Jeff, is that it appears that American households are twice as likely to be multi-generational. What do we learn from that? I don't know, but it's an interesting fact. And then there's the terminology.
Because, like I said, the grandparents pass the house on to the next generation, and the next generation, you know, yeah.
Titles that we use to describe a particular family member. And I don't just mean the word plonker. No, I'm talking about the American mom versus the British mum, or pops versus my old man. Whereas both...
I always thought, you know, so isn't it so crazy? When I was a kid, I always thought mum was like a Jamaican word, because I used to hear my cousins from Jamaica, they never call it mom. They said mum, come over here, mum. I didn't know it was a British thing.
Britain and America might refer to their younger sibling as younger brother or younger sister. Americans might occasionally refer to that person as their kid brother or kid sister. In Britain, as with the US, you might hear your parent's parental figure be described as granddad, grandfather, or grandpa.
I don't use the word granddad. It's mostly grandpa. Yeah, mostly I'll say grandpa, but I never use grandfather or granddad.
But one word that I heard in the Midwest, and I gather is used in the South, is papaw, or variants on that theme. Similarly, in the
know
UK,
that.
while we might refer to our parents' maternal figure as grandma, grandmother, nana, nan.
Yeah, grandma. I never use other words. It's always grandma. I never use nana or nan. Just grandma.
In the US, you've got one or two other phrases. You've got Grammy, like the award. You've got grandma, grandmom, grams, and
Grandma.
presumably in cahoots with papaw, you have mamaw. And that is it for this episode. Let me know in the comments below if your family has its own quirks. I'm Lawrence Brown. You can follow me on Twitter.
This was good. It was good. Okay. I was expecting something else. I don't know why. But it says family, so it kind of makes sense. But he's right though. I kind of agree with him on certain things. Yeah, I agree with him. We totally do things totally different than the UK. Like, seriously, we do. But I always call my grandmother grandma. We call her mom. We used to just call her mom. I don't think nobody in the family used to call her grandma. It would just be mom. And yeah. But this is fun. I would definitely like to do more of this. So what's the next video, okay? What's the next video? What you want me to react to? Comment below, okay? I do read comments, okay? Well, when I have time, but I do read comments. And yeah, and I'll see y'all lovely people. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, okay? Don't forget to subscribe. Go down there, click the button, and I'll see y'all lovely people. Take care of yourself. Bye and peace.